So today we have a very interesting laptop in the studio. It is the Lenovo Yoga Pro 9i, otherwise known as the Lenovo Slim Pro 9i here in North America. Now this is a prototype unit, but it's ready enough that I can show you benchmarks, which also means I've partnered with Lenovo to showcase this laptop. This is not a full review, I'll save that for a further date, but hopefully this entire video gives you a sense of how unique this laptop truly is. Now from a design standpoint, it looks really different compared to the competitors. For one, it's using a different color. This is a teal color, and it's a nice change because most other laptops we're used to seeing are either silver or black. It's a very light laptop, like it only weighs 2.06 kilograms, around 4.5 pounds. It's a 16-inch laptop, which means inside of it, there's going to be a lot of power for both creative work, but also a little bit of gaming. So the overall chassis is made of aluminum and it feels very solid. Much nicer than some of the aluminum alloys that I've felt on other laptops I've reviewed recently. In fact, Lenovo has added some eco-friendly features to help reduce its carbon footprint. It's designed with 50% post-consumer recycled plastic in the keyboard and 50% recycled aluminum in the bottom cover. I do like the fact that they took some of the design elements from the regular Yoga 9i, like these rounded out edges, because it just makes holding the laptop feel a lot more comfortable and it doesn't look like your standard squared off laptop. There's tons of I/O to work with. For example, on the left-hand side, you have your power connector. It's a 170 watt brick, but it's not a brick. It's a slim charging brick. And when you compare this to other power bricks of similar power, it is significantly smaller. So like when you put this thing in your bag and you put the slim adapter with it, it's gonna be a bit lighter than what you're used to. You also have a USB 3.2 Gen A port, you have an HDMI 2.1 port, Thunderbolt 4, you have your combo audio jack, and then on the right-hand side, you have another USB-A port, SD card slot, your power button, and then of course you have your kill switch for your webcam. Now because it is a blue color, it will pick up fingerprints a little more than your traditional silver laptop, but it's not nearly as bad as a black laptop, for example. Now the webcam bezel goes upwards instead of into the display, which means you have a bit of a lip over here, and this just allows you to open up the laptop with one hand very easily. I love the fact they kept the same color scheme for the deck of the keyboard. A lot of laptop companies will have one specific color, but then just make the keys all black. I like the fact that everything is absolutely matching. Now you do have a numpad. Some of you might feel against this. Personally, I'm not a numpad guy. I would have just loved a bigger keyboard, but the fact of the matter is Lenovo actually did a really good job of implementing it in, because usually you have to cram it in and it just doesn't feel comfortable to type on, but the keys are very well spaced, and if you need a numpad, you actually have one to use. They have a 1.5 millimeter travel distance compared to 1.3. They're not mechanical, but they're very close to feeling like that. As for the touchpad, it is absolutely massive. It's a glass touchpad. It's not a haptic touchpad, but it works very well. Super accurate, and it has a good click to it. Now, one of the major highlights of this laptop is hands down this display. It's 16 inches, it's 16 by 10, it's 3.2K, but it's 165 Hertz. And the best part about it is it's mini LED. As a content creator who loves to game, this display is exactly where I want it to be. In fact, it's using Lenovo's PureSight Pro technology. So with that, you get a very good color gamut, but you also get impeccable color accuracy. I know I can trust this display if I'm editing a video, but I also can trust it if I'm editing a photo. But they're also incorporating a new feature called auto color management. It's not available on this prototype unit, but basically what that means is it will automatically switch the display's color gamut based on the source content that you're viewing. And of course, if you're doing a lot of Zoom calls or you're planning on streaming with this laptop, it does have a 5 megapixel camera at the top. Also unrelated to this laptop, or maybe it is, a little public service announcement. Intel Unison is a really cool piece of software that I've been playing with. And basically what it does is give you AirDrop-like features, but on your PC. So as long as you have Windows 11 installed, all you have to do is download the Intel Unison app on your Android or iPhone, and also on your laptop or computer. You can download it from the Microsoft Store. Once you do that, you scan a QR code and your devices are automatically connected. But we have to talk performance because this is utilizing Lenovo's X-Power, which takes the hardware, which has been customized and engineered in collaboration with Lenovo and Intel, but it also uses software accelerators, meaning depending on the application you're using, it might adjust the CPU or GPU speeds or give more power to one in order for you to get the best performance. But what's really interesting is the custom Intel chip that's inside of here. This is not your regular i9-13900H, but this is an i9-13905H. It's a smaller version of it, 24% smaller. So it gives Lenovo more space on the motherboard to put bigger fans. It also means that the paths between key components are shorter, so there's better efficiency. And because of that, you just get faster memory speeds. We're talking about DDR5 6400 megahertz. Now, I don't want to give you too many benchmarks because I want to bog you down, but I did put it through a lot of performance tests and it performs really well. It doesn't have the fans kick on as fast as other laptops, but they do kick on if you leave it on the extreme performance setting. If you leave it on intelligent or battery saver, the fans are always below 40 decibels. But if you want the most performance out of this thing, you're gonna have to leave it on extreme performance. Single core clock speeds are exactly where they should be. Multi-core speeds are fantastic for the CPU. And it doesn't matter if I was using Adobe Premiere Pro or DaVinci Resolve, this laptop performed very, very well. Obviously, the hardware inside of here is so good for any sort of Photoshop work. You're never gonna find it to be too slow. And if you're a developer, the CPU is fast enough to compile Mozilla Firefox at a very respectable speed. But what I love about it is the fact that I can go from being a creator to a gamer in a split second. Because it has that high refresh rate and the RTX 4070 inside here, I can play all AAA titles very comfortably. It doesn't matter if it's Cyberpunk 2077 or older titles like Overwatch or Apex Legends. It just has the GPU horsepower to handle it. And the best part is the thermals are actually really, really good. The keyboard deck never got past 40 degrees Celsius, which is remarkable for a laptop this thin. And CPU temps did hit 90 a couple of times, but after a few seconds, it pans out and it sits in the 80s. The one thing I did notice though is that the clock speeds under extreme performance sat in the mid 3500 megahertz range, whereas other competitor laptops tended to go down into the 2000s, which means you're not losing that much performance when this thing is completely under load. So this is what the internals look like. You have a lot of copper to help keep the CPU and GPU cool, and along with that, you get these big fans. You have two storage slots. One is populated with a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, and then you have a second slot over here in case you want to add another storage drive in the future. You have soldered on Wi-Fi card, and also the RAM is soldered on to the motherboard. But you do have a 75 watt hour battery, and I'm gonna save my battery test for the final production unit because I wanna make sure the software on here is final first so that I can give you guys a very accurate result. So here's the thing, if you're a creator, this is a very good option if you're in that space. It gives you all the things you need to get your work done in a very light and portable form factor. Plus the cherry on the top is that it has that high refresh rate mini LED display, which is also fantastic for gaming. I should also mention that if you don't want a 16-inch laptop, Lenovo does have a 14-inch version of this. You can also get that with an RTX 4070, but the difference is that RTX 4070 runs at 80 watts instead of 100 watts TGP. Either way, if you have any more questions about this laptop or are interested in checking it out, there'll be a link in the description down below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.